Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 412. And on this episode of the podcast, I'm talking about the LA Clippers. Heading into the season, one of the teams in the West I was uber high on was the Clippers. They had Kawhi Leonard, they had James Harden, and they brought in talent in the form of Bradley Beal, Brook Lopez, and Chris Paul. And to say those moves didn't pan out is a bit of an understatement. Now, Harden got traded for Darius Garland, changing the identity of the team. Chris Paul was sent away, and now the season is over for the team. They lost to the Trailblazers in the play-in tournament, and I'm really interested in seeing where this team goes from here. The Clippers are a very weird NBA team in that a lot of people think their biggest problem is their best player, Kawhi Leonard, a two-time Finals MVP and former Defensive Player of the Year. He's become the face of load management, though he did play 65 games and averaged a career-high 27.9 points per game, not to mention the whole Pablo Torre situation, where Pablo has made a number of podcasts about how the Clippers allegedly paid Kawhi via an endorsement deal. My view on him is he's still a great player. I thought the Clippers would have won by now with Kawhi, but it hasn't happened. I believe they should want to keep him. It's not easy to replace a top 10 player in the league, which is what Kawhi Leonard still is. Obviously, the team needs to repair the roster around him because right now they are a middling team, which is the absolute worst thing to be in the NBA. I mean, the Clippers weren't as bad as many people thought they were going to be by season's end, and for me, they were not as good as I thought they were going to be at the beginning of this season. I thought via the moves they made, they would be a top 5 seed in the West, and they ended up being a team that barely made the play-in tournament. I think the James Harden trade of Darius Garland might ultimately end up panning out because I like that addition. I don't think it ever made sense to pair Darius Garland with Donovan Mitchell, another ball-dominant point guard. I think Darius Garland being the primary point guard on a team led by Kawhi Leonard makes a whole lot of sense to me. I am curious to see if Bradley Beal opts into his contract and remains a member of the Clippers. I mean, I like that trio of Kawhi, Garland, and Bradley Beal. I mean, 3 established players. Now, Bradley Beal is not the star that he once was, and you don't know what the Clippers would even get out of him if he does return. I think it's fair to look at this roster and say it needs to get younger. Bringing in Chris Paul and Brook Lopez on a team that obviously wasn't ready to win now was a mistake, but I think there are moves that can be made to turn this team into a much better one. It's also my opinion that this version of the Clippers would have had a much better record if not for the 3 major distractions that happened this season. The first one being the Pablo Torre Kawhi Leonard situation. I mean, him saying that Kawhi Leonard took a fake endorsement deal was clearly a major distraction that many people focused on, and Kawhi Leonard was repeatedly asked about during the season. You cannot tell me that wasn't a distraction. The second one being the Chris Paul fiasco. I mean, bringing in arguably your best player in franchise history for a farewell tour only to banish him away is a miscalculated error of the highest proportion. There are many NBA fans who think that the Clippers mistreated Blake Griffin by giving him a mega contract only to then trade him away to the Detroit Pistons, and now you're doing this to Chris Paul? I mean, the reputation for the Clippers is in shambles because of how they treated an all-time great point guard and a future Hall of Famer. I mean, his relationship with the Clippers is never going to be the same. And then the third distraction probably wasn't even their fault, and that's the trading away of James Harden just as the team was playing better basketball. I mean, the Clippers Clippers were on a run. James Harden was having a James Harden-esque season, and then they traded him to the Cleveland Cavaliers because James Harden wanted more money and wanted to be on a winner. My point is, for most of this season, the storylines about the Clippers almost had nothing to do about basketball. It was about Kawhi and his contract, it was about Chris Paul and his mistreatment, and it was about James Harden being traded away. At the end of the season, almost no one cared about the actual basketball team, even though they weren't that bad. I mean, they did make the play-in tournament. Kawhi Leonard did have a career high in points per game. Yes, you can say I'm giving this team the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think all of their failures on the basketball court had to do with basketball. I think the Clippers, no matter what happens, are going to be a much better team come next season because hopefully there will be less distractions. Like, I don't think anything is actually going to happen to Kawhi Leonard, even if he took a fake endorsement deal. They're not going to release him from his contract. Maybe the Clippers will lose a draft pick or two. I like the idea of having Darius Garland for a full season so the Clippers can find out if he is a foundational piece of the roster moving forward. So last year on this podcast, before the season started, I talked about how I thought a strength of the Clippers roster was going to be their bigs, because they had a combination of free bigs I really liked. They had Zubac, who is now a member of the Pacers. They had John Collins, who averaged less than 6 rebounds a game for the Clippers this year, and Brook Lopez, who had an up and down season, his first with the Clippers. That's where this team really does need to improve. They need to add another big. I mean, Collins is going to be a free agent. I don't see the Clippers investing real money into him. I don't think he was very good as a member of the LA Clippers. I mean, the year before he averaged over 8 rebounds, and now he's at 5.3. I don't see the Clippers bringing him back. One name that's going to be a free agent that I think the Clippers should look into is Kristaps Porzingis. Now, health-wise, you just don't know what you're going to get out of this guy, but I think he's going to give you more than what John Collins gave you. I think the Clippers should be in on Kristaps Porzingis. He was in a weird situation last year in that he started as a member of the Hawks, got traded to a Warriors team that lost Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, who only returned for the playoffs. Like, I still think Kristaps Porzingis has some basketball left, and I think he could make a real impact as a member of the LA Clippers. That is the kind of big they need to add. A guy who can contribute offensively and do something for you on the defensive side as well. I just don't think the Clippers are going to go out this offseason and make a big splash. Like, I don't think they should be in on Zach LaVine. Mitchell Robinson also makes a load of sense, but that's a guy who's just going to contribute on the defensive side. So one of the things that always puzzles me about when people are critical of the LA Clippers is all they do is bring up the name of Kawhi Leonard because he misses games, because the team doesn't win enough. But almost nobody brings up the name Tyronn Lue, who is the actual head coach of the LA Clippers, the guy who I blame for the falling out of Chris Paul and the organization. I mean, that was Ty Lue's job, is to just keep Chris Paul happy enough to have a great final season with the team. I mean, I don't think that's asking too much. He's a guy who I think is a very good NBA head coach. He won the NBA Finals. It was with LeBron James. It was with Kyrie Irving. I don't know who's a better option as the head coach of the Clippers, but I think it's about time we start asking the question about Tyronn Lue as the long-term head coach of the LA Clippers. Like, I just don't think it's going to work out. I think next year has to be the year the team makes it to the second round or the Western Conference Finals. I think people criticize Kawhi Kawhi Leonard because he's the star player. I mean, I hear it all the time. First Take with Stephen A. Smith saying things like Kawhi Leonard is the worst superstar in the history of the NBA, which is completely ludicrous. I get it. I had sky-high expectations when Kawhi Leonard joined the Clippers, and they also brought in Paul George. I thought that team was going to be the best defensive team in NBA history. I thought they were going to compete for the NBA Finals. That has not happened. It has been disappointing, but it's not all Kawhi Leonard's fault. And I think we are talking about a guy in Kawhi Leonard who has dealt with serious injuries. I'm not going to question him. I get it. Load management is an annoying term. I wish that Kawhi Leonard played in 70 to 75 games a year, no question. That is not the reality of the situation, but I don't know how healthy or unhealthy he's been. I'm going to take his word for it. It's also like, however you feel about this guy or don't feel about him, he is still one of the best two-way players in the NBA. It's not just the offense, it's the defense as well. When he is going right, he is a top 5 player in the game. And that's why the Clippers put up with what they have to deal with when it comes to Kawhi Leonard. They hear all of the noise, they hear all of the criticisms of this guy, and they go, no, he is worth it because we know how valuable he is to the actual roster. For as bad as you think the Clippers are with Kawhi Leonard, they would be a million times worse without him. If we are all being honest about the situation with the Clippers is, I think they have to get to a spot where they have a plan B other than Kawhi Leonard so that when he misses games, they can still win games. I mean, LeBron James is a similar guy. He misses a lot of games, but the Lakers have had Luka Doncic and they have had Austin Reeves to hold down the fort when LeBron misses games. Kawhi is the number one option with the Clippers. I mean, he's becoming more and more their best player because in years past, they had Paul George, they had James Harden, now they have Darius Garland, and that's not a name that gets a lot of people excited about the future of the LA Clippers. He's got a lot to prove. I don't really know how this is all going to play out, but I just have this feeling that he's going to end his basketball career as a member of the Clippers. Like, I think he wants to be in LA. He wants to be the face of the Clippers. I think this team is going to compete in the coming years. Are they ever going to reach those sky-high expectations I had for them when he first joined the team? Probably not. And I don't think you're crazy if you believe that Kawhi Leonard is never going to win the NBA Finals again. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he won it as a member of the Spurs and miraculously as a member of the Toronto Raptors. He's without a doubt a future Hall of Famer, and he is playing some of his best individual basketball. Now, that's not leading to a great amount of wins for the Clippers. They're not in the NBA playoffs right now, and that isn't a good thing. But I think things are going to get better in the coming years. I think the Clippers are going to properly build around Kawhi Leonard. I, for some reason, still believe in this basketball team. Having said all that, I know there are a lot of you that believe that they can't compete with the OKC Thunder or the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, those teams have SGA, they have Wemby. How are the Clippers supposed to compete with just Kawhi Leonard? And that's a good question, and I don't have an answer for you. I don't think the Clippers are going to emerge as a top seed in the West next year, but I think they are going to be a team that wins 50-plus games and is a top 5 seed. Because if they fully commit to bringing back Kawhi Leonard, they are fully committing to being a good basketball team, meaning they're going to have to make some serious moves this offseason. Maybe there's a surprise trade that none of us knows about right now, but the Clippers are going to have a better roster than the one they currently have. I mean, it's always fun to think about the possibilities of what could happen come this offseason. I mean, who knows, for instance, what the future holds for Joel Embiid with the Philadelphia 76ers. Doesn't it make all the sense in the world for Joel Embiid to be paired with Kawhi Leonard and Darius Garland in LA? Now, that is a trio that gets me excited. That's a team that could win 55 plus games. And I think that Joel Embiid could use a change of scenery from Philadelphia. He's no longer that franchise's best player. They have Tyronn Maxey. I mean, I just don't know how the Sixers view Joel Embiid moving forward. And moving on from him right now makes a lot of sense, and I think moving him to the Clippers makes sense for both sides. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're going to put Joel Embiid, a guy who misses a lot of games, paired with a guy in Kawhi Leonard who misses a lot of games. I get that, but the Clippers need to do something like that. Make a major shakeup, make some noise, make a basketball move that makes sense. And basketball-wise, I think the pairing of Kawhi Leonard and Joel Embiid makes a whole lot of sense. Because let's face it, they play basketball in LA. They are competing with the Lakers, who have the big names, who have Luka Doncic, who have LeBron James. The Clippers need to get eyeballs on them as well, and nothing would get more eyeballs than Kawhi Leonard and Joel Embiid. And maybe that's where I got things wrong last year when I was talking about the Clippers. I thought this was a team who could improve making a bunch of smaller moves. I mean, bringing in Brook Lopez, bringing in Chris Paul, bringing in Bradley Beal. Those are smaller moves. Maybe now they need to take the big swing, to really go for it, to take one last chance with Kawhi Leonard and try to win the NBA Finals. Maybe that's the type of move they need to look into. I mean, the other big fish out there who I don't even know if I should be mentioning is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, who knows how this guy feels about being a member of the LA Clippers. But could you imagine next season Giannis paired with Kawhi Leonard? I mean, these are now two of the most polarizing stars in the NBA, not to mention two of the best players. Giannis is clearly unhappy about the fact that the Bucks did not play him down the stretch of the season, and obviously wants to move on from Milwaukee, who's now out of the Doc Rivers business. I mean, that franchise is in complete overhaul. The Clippers make a lot of sense for a guy like Giannis. No matter who the Clippers go after, I think it should be to pair them with Kawhi Leonard. Like, I think Kawhi Leonard is part of the solution and not part of the problem. I would want to see Giannis playing with Kawhi. I would want to see Embiid paired with Kawhi. It doesn't make sense if Kawhi was part of the trades that gets you that player. That doesn't make any sense to me, because then you're just left with one star player. The idea should be to have two. The LA Lakers have two stars. They have LeBron James and they have Luka Doncic. Most teams still in the NBA playoffs have two stars. The Clippers rely way too much on Kawhi Leonard. Imagine if Kawhi Leonard had this career season where he was paired with another superstar player. And I think things would have worked out with James Harden more if they didn't have to trade him because of Harden's contract. I am not a fan of the LA Clippers, but they are always a fascinating team to follow because they always go through a whirlwind. You believe in them, then you think they're the worst, and then they win you back. Like, I just don't know how to feel about the current state of this team. I weirdly feel good about where things could be headed. There's the potential that they do something really special, but that's the problem with the Clippers. It's always about potential. It's not about what they've shown you before, because they're coming off of a year where they lost in the play-in tournament to the Portland Trail Blazers, a team I don't think that highly of. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why I believe the Clippers could have a bounce-back season, because to bounce back, they would just need to be, a top 5 seed and make the playoffs and completely miss the play-in tournament altogether. I mean, that's not a big ask, and that's not a big achievement. I don't know what the Clippers would have to do to make me believe they could actually win the NBA Finals. I mean, yes, pairing Kawhi with Giannis, now we're talking. Pairing him with Joel Embiid, I think that's a team that at best could make the Western Conference Finals if both of those players remained healthy for an entire season. I'm curious to see if a guy like Giannis would want to join the Clippers because of the aftermath of the Chris Paul situation. I mean, does a guy like that look at that and go, if this is how you treat that guy, how are you going to treat me at the end of the day? And we just don't know the answer to that. Would Giannis want to be a member of the Clippers? Would Joel Embiid want to be a member of the Clippers? Because in today's NBA, the star gets what the star wants. If Giannis doesn't want to play for the Clippers, he's not going to play for the Clippers. If Joel Embiid doesn't want to play for the Clippers, you guessed it, he's not going to play for the Clippers. I just hope for the sake of the LA Clippers, a star other than Kawhi Leonard wants to be a member of the Clippers in the long term. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every week on Apple Podcast and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.